अस्सलाम नाज़रीन, मैं हूं बैरिस्टर शहजाद अकबर और आप देख रहे हैं मेरा यूट्यूब चैनल। आज का ये वीलॉग थोड़ा-सा अपने यूजुअल रूटीन की वीलॉग से हटकर है। मैं जानता हूँ खबरें तो और बहुत सारी हैं, उनके ऊपर मैं अपने नॉर्मल वीलॉग को ज़रूर कवर करूँगा, लेकिन ये एक बड़ा ही इम्पोर्टेंट मसला है और एक बड़ी इम्पोर्टेंट अपडेट है जिसके ऊपर ये एक स्पेशल वीलॉग है। और ये स्पेशल वीलॉग जो है इसके अंदर मैं बात करूँगा ह्यूमन राइट्स के एक वर्ल्ड रिनोन्ड लॉयर हैं, मेरे कोई 15 साल से कोलीग हैं, क्लाइव स्टैफर्ड स्मिथ, जिन्होंने पहले बरतानिया में रिप्रीव के नाम से एक इदारा चलाया काफ़ी अरसे। और ये तने तनहा आप कह लीजिए ग्वांतानामो से तकरीबन सैकड़ों जो कैदी थे जिनमें पाकिस्तानी भी शामिल थे, उन्हें रिहा करवाने में कामयाब हुए। बहुत सारे इनके क्लाइंट्स अफ़गान थे, अरब्स थे और मुख्तलिफ़ किताबों के मुसन्निफ़ भी हैं। और क्लाइव स्टैफर्ड स्मिथ की तमाम ज़िंदगी जो है वो दरअसल इंसानी हकूक़ और वो इंसानी हकूक़ भी वो कोई लिबरल फैशनेबल वाले नहीं, ऑन ग्राउंड काम करने वाले। इन्होंने सारी ज़िंदगी अपना कह लीजिए 20-25 साल अपने जो लीगल प्रोफ़ेशन के अवाइल के हैं, वो अमेरिका में जो डेथ पेनल्टी की केसेस हैं उनके ऊपर काम करके गुज़ारे। और उसके बाद फिर जब 9/11 के बाद गुआंतानामो कायम हुआ तो वो 4 वकला जिन्होंने एक मुकदमा किया था कि गुआंतानामो की जेल का क़याम जो है वो अमेरिकन कानून की खिलाफ़वर्ज़ी है और वहाँ तक जो कानून के मुताबिक वकला को रसाई दी जाए, उसमें भी क्लाइव जो थे वो उन लोगों में शामिल थे। और फिर वहाँ से एक सिलसिला शुरू हुआ जहाँ पे गुआंतानामो से बहुत सारे लोगों को रिहा करवाया गया। उसके बाद क्लाइव और मेरा जो साथ था वो ड्रोन्स और जो ड्रोन वॉरफेयर है उसके ऊपर बहुत सारा काम हमने यकजा किया। और उसके बाद क्लाइव की एक और आप ये भी कह लीजिए कि इमरान खान साहब से भी इनकी बड़ी अच्छी और बड़ी पुरानी याद-अल्लाह है, दोस्ती है। और इमरान खान अगर किसी की वैसे तारीफ़ खान साहब बहुत कम करते हैं, क्लाइव एक वाहिद शख्सियत है जिसकी वो बहुत ज़्यादा तारीफ़ भी करते हैं और जिसे कहते हैं कि उसके जो खुलूस है उसको रिकॉग्नाइज़ भी करते हैं। ख़ैर आज का जो प्रोग्राम है ये क्लाइव के साथ गुफ्तगू का है, इसमें मौज़ूए बहस क्लाइव स्टैफर्ड स्मिथ नहीं है, उनकी क्लाइंट हैं। क्लाइव स्टैफर्ड स्मिथ ने आज से 2-3 साल कबल आफिया सिद्दीकी का केस जो है वो फुल ऑन लिया और इसके ऊपर काम करना शुरू किया। और इस सिलसिले में वो फ़ौज़िया सिद्दीकी जो आफिया सिद्दीकी की बहन है उनके साथ काम कर रही हैं। इस सिलसिले में आपको मालूम होना चाहिए कि हुकूमत पाकिस्तान ने भी अवामी प्रेशर के ऊपर पहले भी एक वकील किया हुआ था, अभी भी वकील किया हुआ है। लेकिन जब से क्लाइव और फ़ौज़िया सिद्दीकी, क्योंकि क्लाइव के आने के बाद फ़ौज़िया सिद्दीकी को फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम एक्सेस मिली, आफिया से वो जाकर मिल पाई और ये तमाम चीज़ें मुमकिन हुई, जिसके बाद बहुत सारे हक़ाइक़ सामने आए हैं। क्लाइव ने पिछले 2-3 सालों की जो मेहनत है उसके अंदर इतने ज़्यादा सबूत इकट्ठे किए हैं कि आफिया सिद्दीकी दरअसल कैसे अफ़गानिस्तान पहुँची और आया वो अफ़गानिस्तान में जो उनके ऊपर इल्ज़ाम है, क्योंकि आफिया सिद्दीकी के ऊपर जो इल्ज़ाम है वो भी अपनी जगह एक मुज़ायका ख़ेज़ इल्ज़ाम है कि अगर आप आफिया सिद्दीकी के ढील-ढोल को देखें, उसकी जिसामत को देखें तो उसके ऊपर इल्ज़ाम ये है कि उसने G3 राइफ़ल उठाकर जो अमेरिकन मरीन जो एक फुल मिलिट्री गियर के अंदर होता है, उसे ज़ख्मी किया और उसे मारने की कोशिश की। ये तमाम की तमाम चीज़ें जो थी ये फ़िक्शनलाइज़ बनाई हुई चीज़ें थी। असल हकीकत यही थी कि उसको आफिया सिद्दीकी को बहुत अरसा कबल मुशर्रफ के जो एजेंट्स थे उन्होंने उठाया हुआ था और उसके बाद उन्होंने उसको एक बहुत बड़ा, जिस तरह से हमने देखा कि ये एक ट्रेंड रहा है, गुआंतानामो के केसेस में भी रहा है कि ओवर सेल हुई है। लोगों को जिनको पकड़ा गया था उनके बारे में बहुत ज़्यादा फ़िक्शन क्रिएट करके उनको अमेरिका के हवाले भेज किया गया, जबकि हक़ाइक़ से उन चीज़ों का कोई ताल्लुक नहीं था जो उनके ऊपर इल्ज़ामात लगाए गए। आफिया सिद्दीकी का मामला भी कुछ ऐसा है। अब हाल ही में क्लाइव स्टैफर्ड स्मिथ इस वक़्त काबुल में हैं, मेरी उनसे वहाँ बात हुई। ये इंटरव्यू हमने कल रिकॉर्ड किया था और इसकी रिकॉर्ड करने की वजह ये है कि जब अभी फ़ौज़िया सिद्दीकी जो थी उन्होंने ग़ालिबन काबुल जाना था और उससे पहले जो है उन्हें धमकियाँ दी गई हैं और इसके ऊपर जो इल्ज़ाम है वो आईएसआई की प्रॉक्सीज़ का है। और उनका ये चाहते हैं कि जो फ़ौज़िया सिद्दीकी हैं वो काबुल ना जाएँ, अफ़गानिस्तान ना जाएँ और अपनी बहन के लिए जो वो कोशिशें कर रही हैं वो ना करें। इसी सिलसिले में आपको पता है कि इस्लामाबाद हाई कोर्ट में भी जस्टिस सरदार इसाक इजाज़ इसाक जो हैं वो भी इस मामले को परसू कर रहे हैं, लेकिन उन्हें भी उस केस से हटाया जा रहा है। उस केस में भी क्लाइव जो हैं वो अमाइकस हैं, उस केस में वहाँ भी पेश होते हैं। तो ये तमाम चीज़ें जो हैं हम क्लाइव से गुफ्तगू करेंगे, गुफ्तगू अंग्रेज़ी में है, उसकी ट्रांसलेशन इतनी आसान नहीं है, लेकिन इतनी मुश्किल अंग्रेज़ी नहीं है। उम्मीद करते हैं आपको ये इस गुफ्तगू से काफ़ी ज़्यादा नॉलेज मिलेगा, बातें मालूम होंगी, और मैं कोशिश करूँगा कि इसके प्रोग्राम के बाद भी आपसे आफिया सिद्दीकी के ऊपर जो अपडेट्स हैं वो करता रहा हूँ। तो अब हम जाते हैं क्लाइव से, उसको जॉइन करते हैं और उसके साथ ये बातचीत करते हैं। We have with us Clive Stafford Smith, and today he is not in his illustrious town of Bridport, but he is in Kabul. And Clive needs no introduction. You have seen him on my program quite often, but today he is going to speak to us from Kabul. So, I mean, good afternoon, Clive. I mean, it's good morning in Cambridge, but I'm sure it's good afternoon in Kabul.
It certainly is, and it's a very nice afternoon. It's a lot warmer than it is for you in Cambridge.
Well, lucky for you that you can at least go up to Kabul. I don't have a passport, so I can't go anywhere outside your Britain. So, Clive, coming straight to the point, what are you up to in Kabul, and what is this that I hear that ISI is threatening Fozia Siddiqui, who is sister of Afia Siddiqui, and her only fault seems to be that she is trying to get her sister out of illegal incarceration of her sister in the US?
But that's quite a question. Um, I'm here for several reasons, actually, one of which is Guantanamo Bay cases. And I'm really pleased to say that just today, the government here has released the fact that the last Afghan in Guantanamo, Mohammed Rahim, is being released on a prisoner swap. And I think this illustrates very well how a government should work for their nationals to get them justice. And I'm so pleased, and his family's very pleased too. Now, the other thing I'm here for is for Afia Siddiqui. It's the ongoing effort to get even more evidence. I mean, honestly, we've got enough to sink them beyond trace already, but you just got to keep on going. And so what I had planned for this trip is to get Fawzia Siddiqui, Afia's wonderful and committed sister, to come here with me, and we'd do a press conference. And there are various things that I'd like to get in addition to what we have already. And we were going to go meet the authorities in Kandahar. Unfortunately, for that plan, although actually it's great in other ways, the establishment in Pakistan has continued to do exactly the opposite of what they should do. And they have essentially threatened her to get her not to come here by sending this chap to call her and say she shouldn't go to Afghanistan, she's not welcome in Afghanistan, that the Afghans no longer want us working here, that they don't want to help us anymore, and she should go to America instead. Now, all of that's nonsense. I mean, my Afghan friends here tell me, no, they're totally committed to Afia. Indeed, they're very perplexed as to why they, in Afghanistan, who are helping me because Afia is a sister of the Ummah, why they are doing so much more for this poor woman than the government who should be doing it, which is in Pakistan. And when they ask me why that's going on, I have to say, look, honestly, I have no legitimate reason Pakistan would be behaving so badly. The real reason, of course, is the establishment is trying to cover up its crimes.
But Clive, why do you think they want to stop? I mean, why the Pakistani ISI is trying to first block Afia's release? Because there is so much more that they can do clearly. Because if a government in Kabul, Afghanistan, can get their last prisoner out of Guantanamo, then why can't Pakistani government be more proactive on Afia's case? Because what it sounds more like ISI not letting Afia out rather than actually helping her get out, and why they're threatened by Fozia.
Well, you're very correct to ask that question, and actually what they're doing is totally irrational, and I want to give them a little bit of free legal advice here. If we have to go to an evidentiary hearing in New York City, as I've told them directly, then we're just going to expose everything. And I've already sent to the US attorneys a pleading that's 104,000 words, a length of a rather long book, that details all of the materials that we already have on them. And the longer they make me work on this, the more we're going to have. So it's all going to come out. Now, if, on the other hand, they simply do their job to protect a Pakistan national, then, she gets to go somewhere. She's not going to come back to Pakistan and cause them trouble. We've got a place that she can go to where she can get the medical treatment that she needs, which is really important. And she's not going to be holding any press conferences. She's really so traumatized by the torture she's been through that she couldn't do any of that. So if there was an ounce of common sense among the establishment in Pakistan, they'd be working very hard with us to make sure we got her out without a big fight. By doing this, what they're doing right now, they're actually playing into my hands. I mean, I love it. And nothing would give me more pleasure than to hold a month-long evidentiary hearing in New York, where we get to subpoena the CIA agents, where we get to put on the secret recording we have of the Pakistan agent who helped abduct Afia in the first place, where we put on evidence of another Pakistan agent who was there at the time and witnessed an American woman slapping Afia during the arrest, where we put on the evidence of the ISI agent who's supporting our case, where we put on the evidence of another intelligence agent in America who has given me all the details about why Pakistan and the CIA had it so wrong about Afia, and where we put on yet another CIA agent who I talked to in Washington just 2 weeks ago. And so it goes on. If they want to play that game, be my guest, but they're crazy.
I mean, Clive, we've been working on this issue for some time now, and there's a lot of background I know, but I would like you to share this with the people who are listening to us. Uh, I figure that you have gathered enough evidence to prove or establish that Afia's presence in Afghanistan was not as simple as it's being put. It was the handiwork of ISI or the General Musharraf regime of that time. There's enough evidence to establish that she was handed over to the handed over to the Americans, rather actually sold, if I can use that term. So tell us a little bit about that. You have enough evidence to establish that, and is that the reason now that all this evidence you are presenting in American courts is the reason that ISI is being threatened or the Pakistani military regime is being threatened? That's why they are stopping Fozia on this.
Well, I think there's a fundamental worldwide truth, which is that bullies don't like being called on their bullying. And frankly, that's what the establishment in Pakistan is doing to their own daughter of the nation, Afia. And they're trying to do it to Fawzia. And can I just say this first? Fawzia can't stop me from doing my job for Afia. And I've told Fawzia this many a time. I respect that woman immensely. But the truth is, if they threaten Fawzia, it doesn't stop me from doing what I have to do for Afia, because my duty is to Afia. So I wish they would lay off Fawzia and the rest of the family, because that's just wrong and beneath them, frankly. But this is the deal. The whole case originally against Afia was meant to be that she was the leader of Al Qaeda and all that, ridiculous concept, given that there weren't any women doing that. And the idea was that she was meant to have attempted to murder 2 Americans in Ghazni. We can now disprove that entirely. We've got a video recording of the so-called attempted murder where it happened, which shows that the holes in the wall that were meant to be the bullet holes that she fired were actually there before the whole incident took place. And we got lots of other evidence that all of that is total nonsense. But that pales into insignificance when you consider the fact that we can prove that Afia was a kidnapped victim. So it doesn't really matter what happened in Ghazni, because she had a legal right to shoot her way out of anywhere she was. So if she had a gun and fired it, she had the right to do that. She didn't have a gun to fire it, but she still had the right. So we can prove that she's legally innocent no matter what the facts. But because everyone is always so recalcitrant over these things, we can't just stop with the overwhelming evidence we have now. So I've got evidence of Mariam, the 3-year-old daughter, being brought to Afghanistan and forcibly adopted into a white Christian family of Americans for 7 years. I've got evidence of Ahmad, the son, being put in a prison, age 6, and his name forcibly changed to Ihsan Ali for 5 years. And there is some question as to whether the third child, Suleiman, who was only 6 months old when Afia was kidnapped in Karachi, whether he's still alive. And we have an Al Jazeera 2-part big documentary coming up because the ISI just won't give in on this. So we're going to splash this all over the world if that's the game they want to play. And part of that's going to be searching for Suleiman. And we've done AI reproductions of what Suleiman would look like to this day. And we're going to splash them all over America. And who knows, perhaps a young Pakistani lad of 22 who doesn't know who his biological parents are will come forward, will DNA test them and prove it. And that'll just be a monstrous embarrassment if that happens. And, you know, it just suits me to do it. I think it's a really interesting and sad thing. And as a parent, I think it's my job to find out for Afia whether her child is still alive. So all of this is going to go on. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse for the ISI if they carry on doing what they're doing. And so, again, I just want to suggest to them, with all due respect, that they should do their job instead of trying to stop me from doing mine.
I mean, it's a very horrible story, Clive. I mean, what has been done to Afia and her children, and especially her youngest son, who we can't really find, and no one knows if he's alive or not. Uh, I mean, coming to the other part, I mean, I must say here, this is, I think Pakistanis are as much to blame as the American system or the American establishment, but I think we, as country, as state, are continuously failing her in supporting her in a more fruitful manner. But coming to another aspect where ISI is, I think, feeling the heat, not only from the efforts that you and her family, especially Fozia, is doing, but also a judge in Islamabad High Court who was pushing on that case where he is basically pushing the Foreign Office and Pakistani state to be more proactive. And he was asking some hard questions. And then we saw that the government is actually trying to get him off the case. They are filing references against them, and it's another story. I mean, what's happening at Islamabad High Court against this judge, Justice Sardar Ijaz Isaac, and other judges. I mean, the only fault seems to be they're trying to uphold the law. So, how do you see that? As I understand, you are actually appearing in that case as an amicus, I believe.
Yep. Well, look, first I should say nothing gives me more pleasure than to see the Pakistan government doing what they're doing. Because what they don't seem to realize is this helps me prove my case in America that actually from the very beginning, Afia's case has been thwarted by her own government, which created a massive conflict of interest in the original trial. So it helps me get the case thrown out. So at some level, I'm really pleased that they're being so foolish. But the way it's gone is this. Justice Sardar Ijaz Khan there in Islamabad has done what has really impressed me. I mean, he's been a very good judge. He's done what judges should do. And he's just held the government of Pakistan to its duty. And all he did was say, look, it's your legal duty to help this poor woman. He persuaded them at one point that they should intervene on her behalf in court in America. We went round and round on that because they were all nervous about supporting what I've alleged and what I'm going to prove, which is that the Pakistan establishment was deeply involved in all this. So I agreed with them. I said, look, I'm going to split my pleading in America into 2 parts. One, which is the sordid story about what really happened. And the other of which is this poor woman has been raped and sexually abused over and over in the prison she's in. She's been denied an imam. She's been denied medical care. So you can just do what any government should do, which is intervene and say, for goodness sake, show compassion on her. So we agreed to that. And I had some very nice interactions with the general, who was being very sensible about all this. And I let them even edit the thing I was going to file in America, just to take out a couple of things that they thought the establishment wouldn't like. So we got there, and then suddenly they got the message clearly. I mean, they didn't have the common politeness to actually send me a response to my request, are you going to file this thing? But clearly they had been told by the powers that be that they shouldn't support Afia after all. So then we go back to the judge, and the judge then issues a contempt order simply because they won't explain why they're failing to do their duty. Seems a very reasonable thing to do. But then the Pakistan government appoints this guy as the chief judge of the Islamabad High Court, who tries to remove the justice from our case. Now, it's one thing for them to do Article 26 and try to wreck the entire Pakistan legal system, but it's a totally separate thing to take a judge off a case who's sat on that case for months and years now, who's totally familiar with the case. I've sent them the law from every country in the world, Britain, America, every Spanish-speaking country, all the Asian countries, everywhere, that says you simply can't do that. That's just rigging in the system. And so that's going ahead with the council, their pro bono council in Islamabad, who's been doing a good job, Imran Shafiq, and he's now challenging that. And that's headed to the Supreme Court. And, I hope for the sake of Pakistan in general, that the Supreme Court will recognize its duty and just say, no, you've got to let Justice Sadari Jaz Khan continue to do what he's doing. And then with any luck for everyone involved, including the establishment in Pakistan, the justice will encourage them to do their duty and to sort this case out before it gets more embarrassing. And so what we're really seeing is, I think, blind arrogance on the part of some people in the authorities of Pakistan, who are doing things that are totally contrary to their own interests, let alone the interests of Afia Siddiqui. And they just haven't had what my dear wife refers to as the long brown envelope of home truths, which means no one's told them what you're doing is just wacko and you ought to just do your job for once.
Well, Clive, this seems to be the pattern of Pakistani government these days, and especially when we say government, I think we somehow, in a way, legitimize the whole process. It's not the government; it's a country being run by intelligence agency, which is a long arm of the Pakistani military. We have seen the same pattern they have done against your old friend Imran Khan. He's now, I have to update you, recently his lawyer spoke with media, and he said now the cases is about 350 cases. So, I mean, that time is gone when we were talking about 200 cases. Now it's 350 cases. He's about to get another conviction because his bail was due in one case. So we've seen the mockery of justice and judicial system they have made in Pakistan, because, I mean, we both have worked in Pakistan for almost over 15 years, and with all its fault, I mean, you were a big admirer of Pakistani judicial review and the powers of especially high court judges. I mean, that all has been trampled with 26th Amendment, and now they are in the process of making 27th Amendment. So I think those days are gone when any sort of struggle was to succeed in court of law. I think everything is now to be decided on streets. And perhaps Afia's matter will also be decided by people in Pakistan. But can I ask you lastly, what the Afghan government can do here for Afia? Is there, because, I mean, their last prisoner has been released from Guantanamo. Can Afghan government put up some sort of a claim that their predecessors wrongfully handed over Afia? Now that they have come to know this evidence through your efforts and all the evidence that you collected, is there a legal way or channel which can be used where we bring in the Afghan governments and they make the appeal to the Americans or demand?
Well, before I answer that question, I'd just like to make one comment, because I know predilections of certain people to challenge publication of truth. Everything you and I have discussed here today has already been served on the US attorneys in New York and will soon be filed in the court docket. And so it's all public record in the court docket. I just want to make it absolutely clear to anyone that no one can go telling us that this isn't the legal truth, and that, I don't want you to be threatened, for example, with any defamation nonsense. Although I'd love them to do it to me, because that would give me great joy. So then going on to your question with the Afghan government, I don't really want them to intervene in any way in America, because they're being immensely helpful in giving me the evidence to place before Judge Berman in New York. Judge Berman is a relatively liberal Jewish judge who I think is going to be incredibly upset at being lied to at the time of trial, not by the US attorneys, but by the CIA. I think he's going to be very upset that he imposed the second longest sentence in the history of modern America for attempted murder on Afia Siddiqui, a woman who turns out to be innocent, and that he did that because he was lied to. So all I want from my time in Afghanistan are the witnesses to help prove that. And I've already got dozens of them, and I'm going to file all of their affidavits. And so, all of this is going to come up, but I'm never going to stop until we get Afia free. So I should be coming back to Afghanistan as many times as, I like it. They're very nice people. I like coming here. I want to help them in other ways. So I'll carry on doing that until we get Afia free. But I don't really need them to intervene, although they would like to, I know. And I also don't need them to be the venue for Afia to be treated, because we have that taken care of in a place with very high quality medical profession that sadly the Afghans don't have at this point, and we need to help the Afghans get that.
Okay, Clive, thanks a lot for your time, and good luck for the rest of your trip in Kabul. And I hope some sense prevails, which is very difficult for Pakistani law, especially the ISI, so that they back off from threatening Afia Siddiqui, who is just trying to get her sister back from the illegal incarceration of her sister. So good luck to you, and thanks a lot for taking time out and doing what you're doing.
Okay, thanks. Nice to talk to you.